So this morning, today, God always transitions his people. Secondly, God uses these transitions to transform. And then lastly, our last and final point, God's greatest transition is actually himself. God's greatest transition is himself. I know it might seem to go against the grain. We know God himself never changes. And yet, it is true that God did transition himself when he became a man. The incarnation of Jesus Christ is what we read about in the Gospel of John, this time chapter 1, not chapter 12. But we will look at verse 12 through verse 14. John chapter 1, verse 12 reads this way. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And the Word, capitalized Word, became flesh and dwelt among us. And we have seen his glory, glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. One of the things I like best about being a Christ follower is that we're not a religion of man trying to see God. God took the first step. God transitioned himself to become a man, fully God and yet fully man, all at the same time in this person, Jesus Christ. This Jesus so wanted us to know God's message for us that he was willing to take on human flesh. He was willing to die on a cross. He was willing to have that same experience of being forsaken by God. On the cross, he said, my God, why have you forsaken me? When we go through these transformational periods of time in our life, it can feel like God has abandoned us. But we remember that God transitioned himself so that he would know what it's like. So that when we pray to him and we say, God, where are you? He can say, I know where I am. And I know how you're feeling. And I know how you're feeling abandoned. But you're not. I haven't forsaken you. I am still here with you. I am going to see you through this. And if you listen to me, if you listen to what God is saying, if we hear his will, and we're obedient in our next step, and the step after that, and the step after that, just one step at a time, just one move at a time, he will lead us to where he wants us to be. And we'll become the children of God that he has created us to be. Are you going through a transitional time right now? It doesn't have to be a terrible time. It doesn't have to be horrible. It can be transformational, so long as you remember that God is right with you all the time. He will not leave you. He will not forsake you. He will give you the opportunity to become the man or the woman that he's created you to be. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.